Hello everyone, today I'd like to speak about Trump's tariffs. This is causing consternation amongst European leaders, and most notably Taoiseach Micheal Martin, who attended an informal meeting of European leaders in Brussels yesterday to discuss the plan of attack for the pending tariffs on the European Union. Now, in the last few days, Trump has placed tariffs on on Canada and Mexico, and that's been rolled back, those 25% tariffs, because a deal has been reached on issues around border control, issues around the drug cartel gangs, and the fentanyl explosion across the United States as well. Now, these are big issues domestically for the United States, and Trump, again, being a businessman, has really perfected the art of the deal by pushing these tariffs. Of course, he is beholden to the markets and the super rich, like many of the European leaders as well. So again, he's not going to rock the boat too much with them to keep the show on the road for the very rich bankers of Wall Street. Now, what's interesting with this is the response from the Irish politicians and Micheal Martin, who said that Europe should work together and constructively on trade. And he also said that tariffs would hurt citizens wherever they reside. Now, this is interesting coming from Micheal Martin, because Micheal Martin is the man who has been pushing this policy of an open economy in Ireland and beholden to the multinationals in particular, especially with our corporation tax receipts, rather than having a strong, resilient domestic economy. Now, we know so many of our resources and industries have been decimated because of the neoliberal privatisation agenda in the European Union. And Micheal Martin, of course, said when Michel Barnier was here that sovereignty was a backward-looking idea. And of course, this is the same Micheal Martin that has said that the bankers weren't bailed out in 2008 and 2009 with the financial crash that led to devastating austerity, where Ireland sold out its sovereignty to the Troika, the IMF, the European Central Bank, and many more who profited from the crisis that they helped create through the bankers and through the developers, of course, who were supporting and bailed out, while ordinary people carried the can for that and bailed out. So it's a revisionist look on history. But of course, this is the same Micheal Martin that's done a deal with Michael Lowry, the kingmaker in the current coalition of chaos. So what would you expect from Micheal Martin, who's more interested in his practical nationalism, he says, which again is about selling out our sovereignty. And Micheal Martin has done that quite notably over the past long number of years through his policies with his government party and his partners in crime, Fine Gael. Now, what's also interesting with this is Simon Harris's response. He said Europe should take firm action, and also he also said that they should this will create rather significant challenges to Europe by the policies perhaps of tariffs. So let's see what's behind Trump's push towards the tariffs. First of all, obviously, he's pulled out of a deal on the corporation tax. For instance, across the many OECD countries, there was a tax agreement again. So corporation tax, I'm sure, will be decreased in the United States. And of course, if tariffs are impacted on Europe, the issues will obviously affect the transfer pricing of these corporations, for instance, to bring their profits back home as well, and to rise the prices of products going into the United States. Now, this would have impacts, for instance, with big pharmaceutical companies. Currently, about 30 billion euro of exports are from the big pharma companies and the big multinationals that are in Ireland because of the tax haven status and because of the access to European markets and, of course, an educated workforce. But what's also important with this is if these industries come back to or brought back to America. I'm sure a lot of manufacturing will be brought back to America at some point, pushing with Trump's America First policy. But what's also interesting with this is in terms of what's he looking for. He's looking for energy deals. That's essentially what he's looking for, more LNG, frack gas being imported to Europe at higher prices. Of course, wasn't it Joe Biden and his regime involved in the blowing up of the Nord Stream? Surprise, surprise, the cheap energy into Europe, which has decimated the German economy and it's causing real issues across the European Union. And this is going to cause a major fallout in the European Union and could lead to the implosion of the European Union before too long. We'll wait and see how that develops. But what's also interesting with this is the ruse about the war in Ukraine. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State of Trump's new regime, has said that the war in Ukraine was a complete deception. We all know it was a complete proxy war, but the European leaders are doubling down on this. This is interesting because rather than stand up for the interests of peace, over 1 million people have been killed in that war. They're more interested in pushing this war as long as it takes, which is this absolute nonsense and garbage, which benefits who? Benefits the military industrial complex and benefits their imperial intentions. Now, this is a lunacy we have with the European leaders currently, and who've been sold out by Washington DC and the Trump regime around this by being beholden to them. So let's see how this develops, and not to mention the immigration chaos and the fallout of that across the European Union as well, most notably here in Ireland, where we took per head the biggest percentage of Ukrainian refugees. And of course, where were the resources? Where was the integration? Next to none. And that's caused havoc right across Irish society. But this is who the political leaders in Ireland represent. They're more interested in going down to Brussels and doing a deal with these guys and talking about doing a deal collectively rather than doing a deal for the best interests of ordinary people. And that's why it's vitally important that democracy and sovereignty starts in our communities, where everybody has a say and a voice on what goes on. So please share my videos. Please use your voice to speak out and speak about the real issues that are impacting people every day of the week here in Ireland. While these guys are off swanning around trying to act like big diplomats on the international stage, are more interested in going on their junkets to Washington DC than serving the interests of ordinary people here in Ireland. So thanks for all support, and I'll see you all soon. Slán.